Welcome to Asian Mama Network. We're mothers sharing thoughts and experiences on topics that affects and uplift mothers. Hi, I'm Kim. I'm a working mom, a tech nerd, and a total foodie. I'm excited to share my experiences on this motherhood journey.
Hi, I'm Elle, a mom, wife, software professional, and entrepreneur. Today, we'll be covering enrolling our kids from preschool to grade school. To start it off, I like to discuss anything that happens between the preschool and kindergarten. And then later Kim will cover the meat of the enrollment as she has more experience with that with her daughter. So before our kids start kindergarten, while they're in preschool, or even if we're at home with them, and if we notice any behavioral issues or concerns, I would say behavioral concerns with our child, then I recommend getting and looking into it's either called a special education or an IEP, which is individualized education program assessment. When you request for that assessment, the child can be determined by a team of individuals who are licensed to do so, such as a child clinical psychologist, an occupational therapist, a speech therapist, and child development specialists. All these individuals have the background to better assess. So regardless how you feel or your child's teachers in preschool, this is objective observations and analysis of your child, so you could help your child have a better start. Some parents, when I had my son, he's very high energy and he was very slow to speak, and everybody said, "Oh, he'll be fine, he'll grow fine." And the school had some concerns because he wasn't eating fine. He will get angry and he'll hit his chest or have tantrums. And for his age, he wasn't as I would say his behavior was a little different, even though they saw that he improved a lot. But I had concern about his eating. I thought he had sensory processing issues and also a little too much energy. So yeah, because you see kids, and on the soccer field, my kid would be the one running around outside of the scope of things and not listening to the teacher. So it's a great thing. He doesn't confine to social norms, but part of growing and learning is there's a lot of social aspect to that. So as a concerned parent, I did a private assessment, and that was only with an occupational therapist and a developmental pediatrician. I did some tests, and then I went through the school. And I highly recommend going through the district because it's actually free compared to going outside. And it's a team of 4. I had all 4, and they not only observed him in the session at the school with the parent, they also assessed him in his preschool around kids his age. So it's because kids are different when they're just with their parents or with the adults, and they are different with their peers. I also realize my son's also different when he knows other people are watching him and he's being assessed because supposedly his teacher said he was at his best behavior when they were there. He was line leader and, didn't have tantrums. He listened. And I'm like, yeah, he has good days and bad days, and we all see that. So I I highly recommend it. And then out of it, I found out that his teachers and myself, we were more critical of him than the actual uh, what do you call it, team of professionals. They thought, he's normal, he's a boy. The only thing they had to recommend was speech therapy, and we thought that was wow. We could kind of understand it, if people don't understand what he says, that he would feel frustrated, and I think that's with all of us. Um, if we don't know how to express ourselves or know enough words to describe, so I would say that was one of the best thing that we did is go through that, and he has speech therapy, and it's at his home school, the school that he'll be going to for kindergarten. And so he's familiar with the school. He really enjoys it. And I haven't told him yet. I'm not sure if I want him to go to that homeschool, but we'll see. And so we're starting enrollment, and I'm looking to Kim a lot because she did all this research first. So she'll talk to you about that a little more. And if you have any questions on going through the IEP program or special ed requests, like, the earlier the better for the kids, definitely. So,
Definitely.
mhm.
So, Elle, like what websites or how did you know what to do, when you to reach out to these resources to help you, to guide you with this whole process of IEP program?
I When I looked out myself, because I like to do my own research, people tell me one
Mhm.
thing and I like to do my own research. I was looking at private, reach out to his doctor because his doctor was the one that did the original one. And she didn't see any concerns, but she's like, there are these, you could reach out to these other folks if you have issues like chalk, because we're around
Mhm.
Orange County, chalk, and there's UCLA as well, but that's a long wait. So I went with private, and I did a private. After the private, and he was doing some occupational therapy, the school met with me and said, there's also through the district. So I went to the district website and looked at it, and called them, and found that. But I knew friends that their kids went through IEP. They told me about it earlier, and I was that one parent that's like, my child's fine. We just babied him, so he can't plan. Okay, he's fine. He doesn't have any issues, right? But other colleagues who had their kids, they talk to me about IEP. And they recommend also through the district. Everybody says, that it's you'll be surprised how many people just go through it. I always associate, and I'm glad they change it, that as a parent, to think that your child is a special needs, it's you feel that it's part of you. It's like, did I do something wrong? Sometimes, or sometimes that denial, and I'm open, for outside opinion to see too. But part of me was like, he doesn't need IEP. I'll just go through private. They're not the school. And
But how did you find the private resources to do this?
I
Like them,
searched,
you
I
searched?
Yelped. I Yelped them, I Google, I look at the reviews, and it's whichever one that was available and closest first.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That'll work.
And actually, that is covered through your medical insurance too, after you hit your deductible as well.
Mm,
So
good to know.
yes, there are some that are not in network or that doesn't accept insurance. But then at the end of the day, his preschool was saying that the one through the school, they don't deal with highly autistic children. So maybe they have a broad, and maybe they could see what he has and would be general help. And so, um, yeah, it's interesting. Not a lot of people talk about this till you bring it up with friends. That's still a
Mhm.
stigma. And I openly talking about it. I have nothing to hide. My son's totally normal. It's okay to start. Dude,
Mhm.
one of the best people, like right, the greatest, folks like Albert Einstein, all these folks, they didn't read or talk for a while. They had a slow start. And so I'm totally fine with it. It's just as a parent, it was hard for me to accept it initially and say, oh, I'm not going to go through a district. I'm going to go to just a professional.
Yeah, it is hard. But it's okay. I mean, it's a lot more accepting now because like a lot of people are finding out that their kids is on the spectrum, and it's a lot more research has been done about it, right?
Well,
So people know about it.
our pediatrician, first time when our son came out, and he does favor his left hand, and he's not an introvert. I thought he's more of an extrovert anyways, but the doctor says most left-handers are I'm sorry, most introverts are on the spectrum of autism. So
Really?
yeah, well, yeah, they're just on the far, they're not, it's not noticeable, but there's a reason why they're introvert, right? Extroverts, that doesn't, well, that's what he was generalizing. He retired. He's not his current pediatrician, but the gentleman was a Harvard, pediatrician, so I assume he's a pretty smart guy, right? Harvard doctor. But that's me. That's the Asian side coming out saying, oh, it's because he went to this school. He probably knows that. But he's also the same doctor that says, start him with a second language. If you have a second language, just start them now. And with the speech therapy, they're like, yeah, usually if you have more than one language, you need that. But when we have a chance, we're going to reintroduce language. Because once they know how to enunciate certain words, there's no harm in while they're still young, introducing that second language. So
Yeah, I heard that even though they can't speak it, just them listening and hearing it and being surrounded by it, it's good, introduction for them and influence on them.
Even if it's not perfect, like my Vietnamese is not perfect.
Yes,
it's enough for you to order Vietnamese food. So
I don't know about that sometimes.
We're not going to comment on yours.
Hey.
Yeah. But anyways, yeah. Okay. So yeah, there's no harm in it. And yeah, I was really surprised even that spectrum, everyone I've talked to, like even when I do my own medical stuff and I find out the person who's doing an appointment for me, their child was in speech therapy, and it's so random because I was like, it's an added thing as a mom, in the morning, you're like, I have to drop my kid here, take him here, go to school. And then she's like, I understand. My child was in speech therapy for a few years. I was like, oh, it's not as the stigma.
No, it's not anymore.
Modern day ESL. You go to speech therapy.
I think it's just ESL, right?
Well, is there still ESL?
Yeah, there is.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. So I think I've maybe butchered in this topic a little to death, but thanks for the questions for clarifying that. But so after this step, there's the fun step of really getting into grade school.
Yes, it is.
You like to share that journey because if I heard from you, I think our listeners would love to hear about the pitfall you went into that I almost fell into as I was also enrolling him. So
yeah, so what I did was I researched the schools around my district, within my district that I live in, and then like your suggestion and other people's suggestions, just do some research what the ranking of the schools were. But then I had to first check because their requirement for kindergarten is for your kid to make sure that your kid's turning 5 before September 1st on that year that you want them to enroll. Because if they don't turn 5 by then they're too young to start kindergarten. So some kids, birthdays are later. And then if they're later, like December or something, then they have to wait the following year to be enrolled. So that was one of the rules I didn't even know about. And then for TK, they have to be like 5 between September and April of the year that you want to enroll. So it's either that or either TK or kindergarten, depending which age range that your kid falls in between. So in the beginning, I did the research of like I looked up a lot of research about like which are the top schools, which districts within that district, and then from there I funneled it down to what programs they actually each schools were actually like offering. So some schools offer magnet schools, dual immersion programs, GATE programs, IBL. So I'm going to go into more detail about that. But those are like, you can look into those programs, see which ones fit your needs, and you can decide from there, because not all schools are the same. Not all schools offer these programs right now. Let's see here.
Yeah, not all of them offer those. And actually though, you could be at one school but go to another school that offers the GATE. Like when I was a kid, I was at one school and you will take a bus. The GATE kids, we get off to go off and then we go off, and I love the GATE program. It's just playing games.
Yeah, because some schools, like I just found out like some schools are not fully GATE programs and some schools are like half GATE programs. I was like, wow, I didn't know about that. So you have the option of to transfer to a school that has a full GATE program that's fully immersive within the class, rather than just having being in a school that's just, I think, half immersed or something like that, right? I don't know. It's not full immersed within the GATE program. And how that works. I think I need to do some more.
We'll definitely cover that topic more when our kids get to that age.
I was like, because it's different. The GATE program like starts like fourth or fifth grade, then that's when they start like testing for GATE program.
Yes.
Because it doesn't start before that, prior to that. So
but would a magnet school, being in a magnet school, better your chances, or it doesn't matter?
For GATE, I don't think so. I think the magnet school, it might actually, because GATE does focus on, what is it? Mostly academic background, right?
Well, you test into it.
Yeah.
You have to test into it.
So I think magnet does help, because the things on the magnet is different. It's a different teaching style. And it's more inclusive, because it pulls different kids and different families from other different maybe regions or different parts of the city can apply to the GATE program. Not GATE, I mean magnet. The magnet program that that school's part of, or that school is a magnet school. Maybe. Is it a whole magnet school, right? It's not a program.
Correct. And that's why it's so hard to get into those schools. Anyways.
Yes, it's hard to get into the schools because those are especially magnet schools. So it's diverse, different cultures, different backgrounds from different families and stuff. It's not all within the same. I'd say city. Sometimes it can come from other different districts and cities as well. And then they also partner with different businesses and local businesses within that city that surrounds the school and the district as well. And they work with the other schools within that district. And they're not like so siloed like some schools. They're siloed. They just work on their own. They do their own thing. And they're more open to more new and innovative teaching styles that other schools are not part of. Like traditional schools, just like, kids just sitting in front of the teacher and the teacher is just lecturing and teaching the kids, right, from a book or something like that. So then that other thing I was looking for was IBL, the type of teaching, which is inquiry-based learning, which is, it focuses like more on developing and fostering curiosity and increasing the kids' critical thinking. And also there's not only the curiosity, but it expands their knowledge in different types of subjects and fields, because it integrates different subject and fields. Like it can integrate math, science, or literature all in one type of study, I'd say, or a construct that they're trying to learn. And it helps their, conceptual understanding of things, rather than it's like an interweb learning type of style, like how this connects to this connects.
It helps you synthesize information from disparate. Yeah, that's one thing I noticed with schools when you're young. They only teach you that one subject, and you don't realize how they all interconnect. It's how you get to problem solving in math. Exactly. And everything's in English, and you're like, the train goes west 10 miles. And then I was like, Oh, is this the first time English gets in my mouth?
You're funny. So, and then like it also focuses on teamwork and collaboration. So they work in little pods, little groups within these, I would say these subjects, and then they're learning certain things like, oh, what is a battery, and how does a battery work and stuff, and what is a real life, what is the uses of the battery and stuff like that, something like that, and how that integrates with other subjects as well. And then they learn not only from that, but they ask questions, a lot of curious questions like, why does it do that? How does it do that? So it increases their skills of not only their curiosity, but their research. They have to do a lot of research into fighting on their own. Why does it do that, or how does it do that, rather than the teacher just spoon feeding them information from the book. And rather than just copying down, writing information, just memorizing it from the book as well.
The GATE programs like 4th, 5th, 6th, that IBL, is that starting kindergarten? Or is this a specialized school? But
yeah, the school that my daughter's in right now it starts from kindergarten.
Oh wow, so it's an IBL school.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But then at 5, are kids, do they have that capacity? Like, sometimes we're like, just let kids be kids, but
I think they have the capacity. I mean, she's learning a lot of stuff. Stuff that she brings home. I'm like, wow, I didn't even know. And then she makes all these connections about something. I'm like, oh, okay, interesting. It's like it forms their relationship towards things like, oh, it connects this and this and this. I was like, wow, I didn't even think of it that way.
Wow.
Compare and contrasting things too. Certain things like, oh, this is like this because this and this. I'm like, wow, okay. I'm surprised they're even teaching them, because they're teaching them ethics, how to be a good person as well, and within the community. In her class, I was like, oh, okay, interesting. Like social skills that like I never got in regular traditional school, right? They don't teach that stuff back in the day. I know. Did you get that in your school back in the day, Elle? Like,
well, actually, the social aspect was during the playground. That's how traditional schools set it. Like classroom is, the normal learning, the basics, setting the fundamentals, and the playground time is where you socialize, is where you learn to build your social skills. So it's interesting that in an IBL, because you're doing teamwork, social is so important.
Yep. So it's good because like in real life, your social skills are very important in real life, especially when you're in the work, you're working with others, right? On projects and stuff. You got to interact with everyone else.
Yeah. And you start early. So then someday when you get that project and you get that one guy who doesn't do his work and always go late and no one's complaining, you have those social skills too. Everyone talk about it and bring it up.
Yeah. But those social skills and the speaking skills and communication skills are very important later in life, especially if you want to be successful in life. In the work space, you have to have those skills in order to, if you want to climb the ladder per se, right? Well, and upper management, they're really good at those communication skills.
What? It's interesting. You don't appreciate it or realize that until I believe, I don't know if it's like till we get to a little further in our career or we start thinking about it. Like I never want to, as an engineer, just give me my computer and desk and my cubicle. I it's just me and the computer. As I got into product management, that was people, because I love talking to people. I hate talking about work, but I love talking to people.
I thought you liked talking about work.
Yeah, I love talking to the point, but I hate gossip, and that's when I just had that. That's so negative. I just can't handle that personally. But yeah, that social skills, that part, because you realize as folks go to management, the way they speak, the word choice, and they're very to the point. Actually, they're how they think. So it's great that you have your daughter. It's really helping her to really shape how she thinks in a more organized manner, but also to work and get things done, because you realize you can't always be that engineer working. Your code will always affect someone else. So Yeah,
that's true because you're catering to the customer, whoever you're coding for. You're not
correct.
coding for yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I like the fact that the teachers are not just standing there; they're just teaching them and throwing facts at them, and they're just digesting it and regurgitating it, and just okay, here they can perform great on a test, and then later on, they're just gonna forget all about it. It doesn't stick to their mind as well unless they totally understand the whole full concept. But then they ask all these questions and they're curious and they build around it. So it's great for their I think thinking wise to think how to see how their environment surroundings and also working with others. It's a whole, I'd say, 360-degree sort of type of teaching because it's not only them learning things, but that it fosters them to love the subjects and the things that they're learning too as well. And it increases their curiosity about why things happen. And kids are like that. But then like when I think as they grow older and then, in the traditional schooling system, their curiosity, I think, degrades over time because I think they're just memorizing things over and over again and they don't get a chance to ask
Because they get
why.
rewarded on that memorization. You take the test. Oh, this person got 100 or got 5 stars. They could memorize this stuff. Yeah, it's where you decide to put the reward for what they do. And if teachers are not rewarding that, but they are fostering that curiosity and not giving people the idea, and I'm kind of jumping into that with my son. He obviously has a fixed mindset at this age. And at least with the IBL type learning, it seems more Montessori's like, right? You had your child in a Montessori school and you want to continue that where the teacher facilitates that love for learning and foster that with giving them the why and letting them learn with each other. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
And
hands
then
off.
rather than just giving it to them, I mean, because research has showed because all you give them praise and no stars and all this stuff, it can only last for so long, and it just wears off, and then they
I
don't have
know,
this
but
internal thing to drive them forward, for them to keep going,
yeah.
So where was I going?
Oh, you're covering the IBL because that's the different schools you
Okay.
research. But we'll love to see like your steps in doing the, enrolling your child, like things. Yeah.
So the steps of enrollment. Let's start the requirements. So start early. One tip. Some schools they start really early, like early November or mid-November or to December. So you have to check the requirements of the school or the district that you're going to be applying to or the district that you live within. First, you have to apply within your home sort of school. And if you want to transfer out of your home school, then it's a inter-district. If it's within the district, it's inter-district transfer. Inter-district transfer. If it's outside of the district, then it's called intra-transfer district application. Correct now? Yeah. Yes. Okay. So you have to find out there is a special map that they have where the district lines are drawn and everything on. Usually they have it on the school's website and they map all the schools out. And you can, I think, put in your address and then you can figure out within which school you land, which homeschool that you land within that district. And then once you find that, then you can do your research and you figure out which school that you want to be placed within, and you can do the transfer application from there. And then other papers they most likely require, every school is different, but most times they require a doctor appointments for their physical to make sure that all the shots are done that are required by the school, and the dentist assessment that has to be done by your own dentist is required either, and also a gas or utility bill is required to make sure that you for documentation purposes to see if you live where you say you live. And not only that, they also have some popular schools have a lottery system as well, or a long waiting list. So you make sure you apply early so that I know it's a long process and everything, but it does help to apply early.
You're talking about applying early there, Kim. But are there any pitfalls of applying early?
Too early, yes. Like I think someone did But as long as you have the application and everything, you can still save it, right? You can just cut and paste for next year application.
Is that what you did?
I didn't do it that early. I didn't do it a year early at a time. I
Oh.
did like a couple months earlier,
Mm-hmm.
just in case. But I did submit the application on the date that the application, opened up for, for people to apply. And some parents, at least now it's all online rather than before you had to stand in line from the school and do everything, in person. Imagine that nowadays.
What are you
So
talking
yeah.
about? We used to do our registration in person. So, but with all the other extra things they ask you to put in, I'm just like, thank God for a scanner. I was telling my sister, best investment ever, a printer scanner combo where I could scan out these documents as PDFs and send it off to them. So I don't have to see them.
You
Yeah.
can scan it with your phone, right?
I didn't realize that. My husband just taught me that. And sometimes he's like, so who's the tech person here? I was like, dude,
Yeah.
I just got the degree. I work. If you tell me to code stuff, I could do it. But I don't download the latest phone versions. I don't try everything.
I try everything. I'm more software. I'm not the developer like you are.
So, but wait, so once you get a new version, the first thing you do is click around all your phone and see what's the new stuff with it.
Yeah.
No, I like to
play
be
with it.
pleasantly surprised. I like to be like, oh, I learned something new today. Like, oh, there's this. Oh, I give my husband this value that he should show me something cool on my phone.
Nah.
Get it?
No, I like to play with things. Yeah, one of my friends was like, "You would make a very good QA or QE." I'm like, "Yeah,
Oh,
I
you
probably
only
would."
make a good QA QE if you learn how to break it and you can think outside the box.
I'm great at breaking things.
But that doesn't make it right. Well, anyways, I digress. But yes, there is a thing about applying too early, and
Mhm,
you do have to make sure you submit when it's
mhm.
your school year. So
Yeah.
it's mid-November. I started the
Mhm,
application process because I know when I look back, it says for doctor appointment, for one of the things, my son has to be at least 4 years and 3 months for one of the
mhm.
things the doctor assess. So I assume if August 31st is the youngest person, so 3 months from that person would be November. Is it November 31st? So maybe application might open in December, but I applied in mid-November and it says enrollment for 2023. It's like, wait a second, what year is my son enrolling again?
That's what I'm
So
saying. You gotta check the dates, the age range, before
they
five
don't,
before
but
September 1st.
they don't post when they're like, hey, we're going to be open now. They only post when transfer, because for transfer,
Mhm.
they post a date range when you could do a transfer, but they don't post when they're going to open up enrollment for the next year.
Oh yeah,
I
thing to note is the transfer is separate than the application, the actual
exactly, like you
application.
always have to
Mhm,
do enrollment
mhm.
regardless. Yeah. And then you do the transfer.
Yeah. And then like I didn't know that. And oh yeah, and call and make sure to follow up after you apply too. Because I had to do that. And sometimes the system glitch or something, they didn't receive certain documents and stuff, and there can be holdups because of
Oh,
that.
that's good to
Hmm.
know.
So make sure you talk to someone too to make sure your whole file is complete.
Too bad it's not like college applications where you see, oh, what documents you're missing, or like loan applications, those mortgages, or
They do that, but still, sometimes they still don't get it through their system. I don't know why. It showed
uh,
mine that was fully complete. Oh yeah, I forgot to talk about the dual immersion program.
oh, yeah, talk about that. You have a few minutes.
Some schools offer a dual immersion program, which is either which the district that we're in, they offered Spanish and Mandarin, but others, I think in Orange County, also offered Korean, Vietnamese, and Chinese. Not only Mandarin but Cantonese as well. And like the application process is that some schools have it, but some don't. And then if you want to transfer to those, that it's also a lottery system as well. And they only have a certain limited seats in there. And then, oh yeah, another thing I forgot to mention, these schools have a priority. If you already have a kid that's already in the school, then you have priority enrollment within that school because the sibling is there already. So you get that. And as well, the dual immersion program, they start off really early, like in kindergarten, and they get 50% or an hour or 2 hours in Spanish or whatever languages that schools teaching the other, and what is it, the dual language that is for that school. And then after kindergarten, it increases more 50, 75%, 80%, and then whatever 90% as they age, as they increase the grade level. And they read and write and also speak as well for these dual immersion programs. So these are very popular because our world's getting more global, and to be successful, and especially in business, knowing a second language is very helpful. Not only that, but learning a second language helps develop the left side of the children's brains as well, and increases their creativity. Because when you think, I think people that grow up with the second language or background, or with grandparents that speak its second language, when you're thinking, it's different versus someone that only speaks one language. Right, Elle?
That's the same with music and anything, because music
Yes.
is a language in itself. So it's like computer coding. You're learning another. It is like learning another language. Hey, amazing mamas. You're doing an incredible job. Always remember, you are not alone. We're here to support each other. You've got this. So please share your tips, tricks, or thoughts to asianmamanetwork@gmail.com. The email is asianmamanetwork@gmail.com. Thanks.
Hey there, we want to remind all of you that anything you hear on this podcast, whether it be from us or our guests, is solely for educational and entertainment purposes. This podcast is not a substitute for advice from professional coaches, therapists, physicians, or any other qualified professionals.